call this regular town board meeting on 16 December to order. Please rise for the pledge. Madam Clerk, please read the roll.
Supervisor Evans,
Here.
Councilwoman Cunningham,
Here.
Councilman Malone, Councilman Perticone,
Here.
Deputy Supervisor Weiner,
Here.
Attorney for the town.
Here. Can you check the mics for me, please? Good afternoon. We have a full agenda tonight, so we're going to get right into it. We have a couple ground rules I want to go over. Note the exits to the right are the restrooms. In case of a fire, please walk, do not run, do not use the elevators. When it's your time to speak, step up to the lectern, give your name and your address. The event is recorded, so people at home can hear, and is also for a public record. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. It's up to the chair to extend that time, and it's the chair's decision. Personal attacks will not be allowed, and we'll address all comments to the chair. All speakers should remain respectful and observe decorum. And we have 2 periods. We have a public hearing. That's a time for the town board to gather information and gather facts and ask questions. However, the public input period is not is for us to receive information. The town board will not be answering questions, asking questions during the public input period. Excuse me for stuttering a little bit. And with that, do we have a public input sheet, Madam Chief? And we do have public hearing scheduled to begin at 7:35. I just want to clarify, do we have people, Mr. Barone, are you here to speak for public input or for the public hearing? Okay, Mr. Barone, public input?
Richard Barone, 154 Allwood Drive. I picked up a 105-page budget, the 2026 budget from the town. Sometimes in the past, there was no charge for budgets if they were generally distributed, but I had to pay about, I don't know, 20, 30 bucks for it, I guess. What concerns me is that there was a letter from the auditors criticizing the town in 2024 audit. I don't have the audit, of course, for 2025 because it's not complete yet. But criticized the town for the fund balance exceeding the maximum amount. Now, I worked on 8 town budgets as a councilman for 8 years. I have an accounting degree. I worked on budgets that were higher than the budgets for this town when I worked as a school business manager in East Arundecoit. So I know budgets somewhat. You need a fund balance. You need a reserve because just a sewer problem could be $500,000. I understand that. But you exceeded the maximum that was adopted by the town on how much you keep in extra cash around in the bank, of course. So the question I've got, and I haven't analyzed the budget totally, it's 105 pages long, and I hope to speak at the next town board meeting more clearly on your budget for next year. Why is it that in some departments you have excessive budgets, in some of your department budgets you have deficits? I haven't analyzed that yet. But the auditors are criticizing you, and you should have been meeting on that and discussing that issue. You violated your own rules on how much you keep. That means you increase the taxes in the town more than you should have. You're keeping more money aside. I have no problem with reserves. Every government has reserves. Individuals have reserves. No problem. But you've exceeded the very maximum that this town has been going by in the past. I suggest that the town board should be looking at that and analyzing it further with your auditors and discuss it with your auditors for a workshop perhaps. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Is there anyone here that would like to speak during the public input period to address the town board or inform the town board on anything? Seeing none, the public input period is now closed. Madam Controller, a financial report.
Financial results as of November 30th. 91.7% of the year has elapsed.
Can't hear it all.
It's not.
Someone check with IT, get microphones turned up, please.
Have the chief of staff check into this, please. Mr. Evans, could we have the chief of staff look into this for us, please?
She's,
Stand back there.
All right.
Madam Chief, can you check on the volume, please? Thanks.
Is this better? Okay.
Yeah.
The 2025 financial results as of November 30th. 91.7% of the year has elapsed, and the town's total expenses, actual expenses, and encumbrances of $38,305,000 are lower than budget at 84.3%. Actual expenses are $36,740,000, or 80.9% of budget, and encumbrances are $1,565,000, or 3.4% of budget. The general fund total expenses of approximately $24,517,000 are below budget at 85.5%. The actual expenditures total $23,626,000, or 82.4% of budget, and encumbrances are $891,000, or 3.1% of budget. Overall, the total expenses of the three highway funds are $6,646,000, or 91.4% of budget, on par with the 91.7% of the year that has elapsed. Actual expenditures of $6,288,000 represent 86.4% of budget, and encumbrances totaling $358,000 account for 4.9% of budget. The costs are driven by expenses and encumbrances for fuel, road salt, equipment parts, and road paving. The current library expenditures of $2,485,000 are 83.7% of budget. Expenses in the sewer fund of $2,906,000 are below budget at 69%, with actual expenses equating to $2,622,000, or 62.3% of budget, and encumbrances at $284,000. Stormwater drainage expenses are approximately 48.3% of budget, for a total of $476,000. The general fund has received revenue of $24,319,000, or 88.1% of budget. Real estate tax of $13,011,000 has been collected. The town has recorded 8 months of sales tax revenue in the amount of $4,907,000. The aid and incentive to municipality payment of $613,000 has been received, and recreation receipts of $788,000 represent 103% of budget. At month end, the library has confirmed revenue of $2,898,000, or 99.5% of budget. 68.2%, or $4,903,000 of highway revenue has been received. The sewer fund has received 98.7% of its revenue at $3,903,000. Stormwater drainage fund has verified 99% of budgeted revenue at $973,000. Regarding the entire town, $38,176,000, or 86.9% of revenue and appropriated fund balance have been received to date. Approximately $19,366,000 is from real estate tax. This concludes the financial report for November 2025.
Thank you, Madam Controller. Any questions or comments concerning the budget? Seeing none, may I have a motion to accept the financial report?
Moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Financial report is adopted. Madam Clerk, we have some minutes to approve.
Approval of the November 10th, 2025 workshop meeting minutes.
Move it.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have any questions, comments, revisions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes are adopted. Madam Clerk?
Approval of the November 13th, 2025 special town board meeting minutes.
May I have a motion?
I'll move it.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any questions, comments, or revisions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes are adopted. Madam Clerk?
Approval of the November 18th, 2025 regular town board meeting minutes.
May I have a motion?
Moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any questions, comments, or revisions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes are adopted. Madam Clerk, we have some items for board action.
Item number 1, resolution authorizing the appointment of a clerk to the town justice.
May I have a motion?
I'll move it.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Yes, thank you. This resolution authorizes hiring Mary Baldwin as the clerk to Judge Masulo, and this is to fill the existing court clerk vacancy. Mary was selected following interviews by Judge Masulo.
Thanks. Is Mary here tonight?
No, she's not.
All right, thanks. Any questions or comments? Seeing none? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Congratulations, Mary, on her new appointment. Madam Clerk?
Item number 2, authorizing the appointment of a recreation supervisor.
Move it.
May I have a motion?
I'll move it.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Yes, thank you. This resolution would allow the Recreation Department to move forward with a recreation supervisor in the fitness and athletics area, vacancy that we've had since October. We did interview several fantastic candidates, and the committee that we worked with to hire unanimously selected John McCauley for this provisional position. He will have to take the civil service exam when it comes out.
Thank you. Is John here tonight?
He's not.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Congratulations, John, on his new appointment. Madam Clerk?
Item number 3, calling for a public hearing on the matter of a local law change to amend the merger of properties policy in the town of Arundecoit. Local Law 210-31 and 32.
May I have a motion?
Moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
This will merge the properties and combine them, and it'll be in line with what the county recommends, and it will give specific timelines as to when to do it, and the fees or the services involved with it will be specified in the fee schedule.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk?
Item number 4, calling for a public hearing on a proposed local law to amend the historic preservation law of the town of Arundecoit.
May I have a motion?
Moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
I can speak to this. This is technical amendments to the recently passed historic preservation law that we passed a couple months earlier. The essence of the changes are that the town board has ultimate say in what properties are designated. So it's just that's the gist of the changes.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk?
Item number 5, calling for a public hearing on a proposed local law to amend the Town of Arundecoit procurement policy.
May I have a motion?
Moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Sure, this is it's a local law to amend the procurement policy to allow the town to take advantage of best value purchasing. The only way you could take advantage of that is by passing a local law. Typically, procurement policy requirements, they're not required by law to be in the code, but that is one that is required to be in the code in order to take advantage of it. So we've had some opportunities that we haven't been able to take advantage of because we haven't previously authorized that. Another minor change is to clarify the extent to which the so-called piggybacking purchases may be used.
Can you briefly explain for the audience what does that mean? Best value versus what we have now, why that's an advantage?
Sure. So when you're purchasing goods, the general rule for purchases over the statutory threshold is that you have to award the contract to the lowest responsible bidder. When you use best value, you can consider certain non-price factors that will allow you to make a purchase. Maybe an example would be a vehicle that has lower maintenance costs over the life of the vehicle may have an initial cost that's higher, but when you factor in those other later on expenses, the overall best value would be to buy the more expensive vehicle in that situation. So there's definitions of best value, and the requirement, though, is it doesn't allow the town to just purchase things kind of willy-nilly based on what we think the best value would be. It still requires an objective set of criteria that you could compare other bidders or offerers.
Thanks very much for that explanation. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, the resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk?
Item number 6, awarding the bid for demolition of a single-family home.
May I have a motion?
Moved.
May I have an explanation? May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Yes, thank you. This resolution would authorize the demolition of 177 Kings Highway. This is a home previously purchased by the town because this home is adjacent to the Little League fields. So we did have open bids, lots of interest in this bid, and the lowest responsible bidder was Durable Demolition, and they have no concerns. We talked with them, and they have no concerns with completing the demolition as described.
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, the resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk?
We did have 2 walk-in resolutions. Item number 7 would be authorizing the temporary extension of license under the solid waste management law of the Town of Arundecoit for Casella.
We want to
Oh,
wait
sorry.
on these then.
Waste management.
I think you should wait on those two.
Wait on these two?
Those are prepared because if we do nothing after tonight, then the licenses expire at the end of the year. So
Okay.
this will allow the extension of the licenses for 2 months. But I think we should wait until after the hearing before we consider that.
Okay. Does that complete the resolutions, Madam Clerk?
No. So, item number 7, resolution authorizing the transfer of a police officer.
May I have a motion?
Move it.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Yes, sir. This is for hiring of deputy in Livingston County. His name is Hunter Little. He's a 2-year veteran of the Livingston County Sheriff's Department. He comes from good family stock. His actually older brother works for us on midnights. Looks like he'll be a great candidate, comes from a great family, and this will fill our ranks so that we're at our fully authorized strength of 53 officers.
Is the officer here tonight?
He is not, he's working.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
The two brothers won't be on the same shift, or will they?
They will not.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk?
Item number 8, resolution renewing the proposal for the Arundecoit 10K and 2-mile July 4th race administration.
May I have a motion?
Move it.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Yes, this resolution will allow us to continue working with Robin Hood Racing. They have worked on the July 4th 10K and 2-mile fun run the last 2 years of the July 4th celebration and done a wonderful job for us, so we'd like to exercise our option to extend the contract another 2 years with Robin Hood Racing.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk?
Item number 9, authorizing an agreement with the Arundecoit Athletic Association.
May I have a motion?
Moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Yes, this resolution will allow us to move forward with a proposal with an agreement with Arundecoit Little League. They would receive first rights of refusal for scheduling the athletic fields in the ballpark complex behind Town Hall, as well as the Ayer Bayer athletic fields. Both of those fields are primarily utilized by Arundecoit Little League at this time. In return, Arundecoit Little League will fund up to $5,000 in capital improvement projects per calendar year for each of those two fields. So we would like to move forward with this agreement with Little League.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk?
Item number 10, authorizing the supervisor to authorize new recreation rental fee schedules.
May I have a motion?
Moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Yes, thank you. For the 2026 calendar year, we would like to move forward with a series of changes for our rental fee structure for all of our facilities that folks are able to rent within the town of Arundecoit. We are offering some new improved services and some different party packages for some of our different spaces around town. So this document allows us to kind of right-size the fee schedule for 2026.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk?
That is it for the action right now. At 7:35, we'll start the public hearing.
I noticed that some people came in late. I'm going to put the sheets back out, Madam Chief, for right now. So if anyone else wants to sign up, please sign up for the public hearing. And while we are waiting for the public hearing to begin, I just want to make sure that this message is clear. The purpose of this public hearing is for us to hear from the vendors and the residents and receive information. There has been no decision other than the extension, possible extension of the license. That's the only decision that's been made by the board. The board collectively have to make a decision. So I know there's a lot of rumors going out. So the purpose of tonight is to receive information, so the board can have the information to decide on how to go forward. The time now is 7:35. We will now open the public hearing on the matter of seeking revocation of Casella Waste. Casella first, correct?
You know, I did get a request from Casella, if you
To
could
go second.
flip them around, but if, I guess with the consent of both of them, we can amend the agenda, if you would like.
The agenda is amended. Let's go with waste management first. May I have a motion to open the public hearing? May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The hearing is now open.
I think probably the best way to approach this would be to have the Commissioner of Public Works kind of come up and give just a brief explanation of how we got here, and then after she speaks, then we can have the vendor talk about, you know, their position, and then open it up to members of the public.
Madam Commissioner?
Back in the spring, in April 21st, 2025, we received a first information from residents on Imperial Heights that were notified that trash and recycling totes must be brought to the main street for collection, and this was for waste management. Later on June 17th, the town received information that Waste Management planned to discontinue waste collection service for approximately 200 customers during the week of July 17th, 2025. On June 23rd, Waste Management provided the town with a list of customers whose waste collection services were scheduled for cancellation. On June 24th, 2025, a meeting was held between town representatives and Waste Management to discuss waste collection service matters. At this meeting, numerous items were discussed, but Waste Management representatives indicated they would investigate extending service for the affected customers. In late June 2025, Waste Management provided the town with a draft letter proposing a 2-week extension of service. At this time, the town responded that it did not accept suspending service at this time. Waste Management still discontinued service for the originally communicated date. On July 17th, our town attorney sent a letter requesting Waste Management continue service for at least the remainder of 2025 to allow time to explore alternative service providers. And after July 27th, 2025, Waste Management still did not continue waste services for the list that was supplied of approximately 200 customers.
Thank you. Any questions of Madam Commissioner?
So our code, just to kind of close the loop on that point, the code has a requirement about providing service.
Right, our town code stipulates that if you are entering into the town as a licensed waste hauler, you have to service the entire town. So you are not allowed to, I guess in a better term, cherry pick the towns of the roads of town that you're allowed to service. So that is what brought us here today.
Any other questions or comments, Madam Commissioner? Thank you, Madam Commissioner. One second.
I spoke with some of the folks too, Aaron, that I think that prior to even that date, they were having some issues getting their garbage collected, correct? I mean, it went
Yes, as throughout the spring, I would say we were getting a lot of calls and complaints about, I would say, inconsistent service. People were being skipped, they weren't getting their garbage and recycling picked up on a routine weekly basis, and different scenarios where it was different days and people, our residents were reaching out to Waste Management directly looking for resolution, and it just seems like we were not getting clear information.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Madam Commissioner. And at this time, is a representative from Waste Management here?
Good evening. My name is Steve Cates. I'm the Area Director of Collection Operation for Waste Management. Thank you for allowing us to come to the town board meeting tonight to discuss particular safety issues that have impacted Waste Management's ability to service part of the town. Waste Management has a long history, proud history of providing waste collection services to residents and businesses in the town of Arundecoit. Waste Management has provided residential waste collection services in Arundecoit for over 30 years. And the company has currently more than 7,500 residential customers in the town. Earlier this year, following analysis of specific safety and traffic accident data, Waste Management made a difficult decision to cancel curbside residential waste collection services for approximately 174 residents, or about 2% of our customer base in town. One of Waste Management's goals is, of course, to grow our business, and canceling stops is always the last resort. However, the safety and the general public of our employees is our highest priority, and the safety and traffic accident data from this route became too overwhelming to ignore. The route that included the 174 Arundecoit customers is unlike any other waste management route out of our Rochester, New York facility. It includes several extremely narrow roads without any shoulders running through wooded and hilly neighborhoods. Some roads are private and thus often unplowed during the winter months. Could I approach with just a photo? Waste Management measures accident data by analyzing driver hours and total accidents. Over the last 5 years, throughout all of Rochester, New York's hauling service area, we have had one traffic accident incident for every 11,000 driver hours. However, over that same 5-year period, on this particular route in Arundecoit, the rate had been one traffic accident or safety incident for every 115 hours. That's a 95% higher incident rate than the rest of the facility. Further, that traffic safety incident data only includes when a truck collides with a car or another object. It does not include incidents where our truck goes off the road and needs to be towed out, which occurred far more on this route than any other route in Arundecoit or Rochester service area. If we include the towouts inside this traffic safety incident for this route, the rate decreases to one incident every 45 hours, or over 200 times higher. It would be irresponsible for Waste Management to ignore such glaring data. Although recent incidents have been limited to just vehicles, mailboxes, and trees, the current trend suggests that a more serious event may occur if action is not taken, and an outcome we all wish to avoid. I would like to address the suggestion that Waste Management could safely service this route simply by using smaller trucks. 99% of our vehicles inside Waste Management in Rochester, New York, are roughly 35 feet long and weigh up to about 72,000 pounds. It is those trucks that had the one incident per 11,000 hours I mentioned earlier. We weren't using those normal-sized trucks on this route. Instead, we were servicing this route with a 23-foot truck that weighs roughly 28,000 pounds, which is the smallest truck in our fleet, and even using that smaller truck, we had an incident rate 95% higher. 95 times higher, sorry. With all this said, Debbie was here to let the town board know and its citizens of Arundecoit know that we want to work with the town to try to find a solution for these customers on this route. We are actively looking at an even smaller truck that could potentially safely maneuver the narrow roads better than our current small truck. However, even if we were able to find a sufficient truck, there may still be roads on this route that we simply cannot service with curbside collection. We also have discussed previously with the town the ability to place dumpsters on town property for these residents to bring their trash to. While this is not ideal and we understand the challenges it would bring to the residents, it would provide an outlet for their waste and recycling. Again, thank you for the opportunity to explain our situation and Waste Management's decision-making. We look forward to continuing to work constructively with the town and our customers to find a safe and reasonable solution that can work for everyone.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
I do. Did you reach out to the town to say that there would be any change before notifying the residents?
We did.
And to whom did you reach out? Because our Commissioner of Public Works is shaking her head.
Yeah, the name I was provided, that our facility reached out to was, Town Clerk Ann Dollar.
She's not the town clerk, and she works in the Commissioner's office.
Okay.
And she is still shaking her head. So we did not receive.
Was that in writing or was it a phone call?
It was a conversation.
So there was a phone call that you were canceling service for 174 people?
It was a conversation that the site reached out to and said, this is what we're looking to do. I believe the response was that we were a private business and we could do as we wish. That was, I'm sorry, that was from Ann.
Regardless, your contract or license with the town says otherwise, correct? So my question is, you've been, how many years did you say you were servicing?
30 plus.
30 plus years. So
Yep.
are you saying the road conditions have deteriorated and that has exacerbated or increased the accidents or
No.
incidents on the roads? I mean, what are the circumstances that are leading to greater amount of accidents or?
Sorry, if we're going to answer questions, my name is Jeffrey Kuhn from Harris Beach, outside counsel of Waste Management. I'll assist with this effort.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Waste Management, as Mr. Cates indicated, was confronted with data over the last 5 years, which indicated that the accident rate on this particular route was 95 times higher than the accident rate for the rest of the greater Rochester area. That might have been the situation going back for some time, but once Waste Management sort of did the data analysis that indicated that, they made the decision as a corporation that they could not simply continue to serve this particular area given that safety situation. There had been more accidents, more incidents on this 2% of the town than the rest of the town combined by far. There was an incident, at least one incident, on a particular private road, Schechter Road, I believe it's called? Schneckel, excuse me, Schneckel Road. A private road and not a town road on this route. And I believe it is that road that you have a picture of that was unplowed, a very steep grade, where one of Waste Management's trucks actually slid off the road and hit a house. Given that, and the potential of injury to the members of the public, customers, or Waste Management's employees, the decision was made that they could no longer responsibly provide service to this curbside collection service to this small number of houses. But they were willing and discussed with the town alternative types of service other than curbside collection service for this. And you also made a point about what the town code says. The town code says that Waste Management has to provide collection service to everyone in the town. But the town code, the next sentence says that Waste Management can make service decisions to provide different levels of service based upon reasonable business conditions. And the safety issues here were certainly a reasonable business condition where Waste Management, as Mr. Cates indicated, is absolutely willing to continue to provide service and is looking at potentially acquiring different equipment that could perhaps provide service to most of the roads on this route.
Mr. Attorney, do you have any suggestions or as far as maybe a collective site? I know like some apartment buildings may have a site somewhere that's not curbside, but that can service the area. Have you looked at that also?
Absolutely, Mr. Supervisor. Waste Management talked to people in the town back in the spring about potentially using a piece of town property as a location where people on this particular route could bring their, something that could potentially, it would not be as convenient as curbside service, admit that, acknowledge that, but some central location where people could bring their waste that would still be waste collection services, but perhaps not the curbside collection that is offered to 98% of the roads in the town.
Who did those conversations, who was involved in those conversations in the spring?
It was with the DPW. No, that wasn't that wasn't in the spring. That was in the summer when we had that conversation.
He's suggesting it was in the spring.
Well, I mean,
That
July
conversation,
timeframe.
that conversation was after, I believe that was after service was cut off, and it was during the stretch of 90-degree weather where the garbage was piling up on the curbside.
So, but I would, well, go ahead. I would.
Chair, one second. The chair recognizes Ms. Pritico.
I was at the first meeting that Waste Management came to. Steve, I don't believe you were there. I don't believe you were there. So anyway, we had a lot of mixed, first of all, we were told that there was like some kind of a phone service that went out to the customers, probably in early spring, March. Nobody ever alerted us to anything like that, because believe me, the town would have heard immediately if people in March found out that their garbage was going to be discontinued. Then we were told that it's a small truck, you don't want to repair it anymore, and you were going to get rid of all the small trucks. So those are first two, that was the first excuse that we heard. And then it was a safety issue, which you were just discussing there. But that's what, it didn't start out on a good foot because of that reason. And then they finally got a letter and said that they were going to discontinue with the thing. But the issue that we had was it was a small truck. You didn't want to repair it anymore. So that was one of the biggest reasons why you weren't going to continue service. Now, just me looking, Waste Management, I believe you can afford to buy a new truck to do those routes, if that's what the case was. So, and now I'm hearing it was a dangerous issue. And then to discontinue the issue into summertime, which we know there's no road issues in the summertime. And it just came so abruptly. I think that was the real first issue, that these people were just, all right, what do we do? We were just very fortunate that we had a company to pick up that slack to help the people without getting their garbage picked up. But I think that's where it all started, that some of the things that I heard didn't really happen. The members of the town, nobody got alerted back in March from a phone call or anything like that, because we would have heard that immediately. And that would have given people at least 4 months to find an alternative carrier. But at the time that they started getting letters and notifications from Waste Management, there wasn't a lot of time there. And to say keep a dumpster somewhere, I mean, I understand that would be an alternative, but that's pretty an inconvenience to people to throw garbage in their trunk and drive it over there. So if you ask me if that was the case, it'd almost have to be a free service for people. So but that's where I was with that there was a lot of conflicting issues going on that I didn't feel that we weren't being told the total truth of the matter. Now you're coming up here and it's a safety issue. Commissioner McGee said if it was some places was an issue, we would have addressed them, and if we could have addressed them, we would have. But again, I don't, we never were told that if the DPW can fix this, we continue the service. So I think it was all coming down, it was so abrupt, and people were stranded without getting their garbage picked up. And what I mentioned before is probably prior to that, people went on 2-3 weeks without getting their garbage picked up. So I don't know how anybody else feels, but that would pee me off pretty good. So that's where we were.
I'll let the representative answer and then go to Mr. Weiner.
Yeah, I had did you want it? Okay.
Well, without knowing all the details of everything happening.
I understand that. I understand
all
that.
those conversations. Companies coming here today, certainly there were discussions that were going on, I guess, in March, June, July, about attempted solutions. Those discussions stopped for one reason or another in the June or July timeframe. I think Waste Management was told that another vendor was going to be stepping in and was in a better position potentially to handle these particular routes. And so those discussions sort of stopped. Waste Management is here tonight now saying it wants to, it's been serving the town for over 30 years, has 7,500 plus residential customers in the town. For these 174 customers or so, Waste Management is willing and able to work with the town constructively to try and find a solution. Whether or not there were some communications issues that could have been better, perhaps what you're describing is the case. But Waste Management wants to try and find a solution here. But it is an atypical section of the town that presents some very real service issues and safety issues, and those have to, we just want to work with the town to figure this out, and that's the spirit that we're coming here tonight to do.
Well, thank you, Mr. Weiner.
Yep, and I appreciate that sentiment, and I acknowledge that also. But I was just curious, like, how are these safety incidents recorded? And I mean, is it police reports, 911 calls? I mean, they're just.
Sure,
I mean, to some extent, I just don't know the nature and extent of what the safety incidents are. That whether they're so minor but yet recorded, or so major, like you said, hitting a tree. I mean, I just.
Yeah, every incident that I'm taught, all these are, the corporation of the size of Waste Management keeps meticulous records of things like this. Everything that I'm talking to you about, is my understanding, involves a collision. Either one of two things: a collision between one of the trucks and a tree, a mailbox, a car, or residence, right? That's a collision of some kind, or those are safety incidents. What Mr. Cates also talked about, in addition to those safety incidents, are situations where one of the trucks actually runs off the road, doesn't actually hit anything, but gets stuck. That's a tow-out incident. That's separate. If you combine the tow-out incidents plus the collision incidents, the rate of those combined is 200 times higher than the rest of the greater Rochester area, or I'm not sure if it's greater Rochester or Irondequoit, but dramatically higher than any other route that Waste Management has in the entire area.
That's 200 times higher over the course of 30 years?
Over the course of 5 years.
5 years?
They did
Right.
a 5-year look back, and it was that 5-year look back that precipitated some of these decisions in the, earlier this year.
Thank you.
Again, there would have been something that we could have discussed that
Probably
day
so.
of, right? I mean, this is something you're talking about should have been addressed quite a while ago. It said, listen, we got an issue. Listen, we're going to learn from this. It should have been something, listen, we got a problem. Those roads aren't going anywhere, right? They're going to stay the same forever. They've been there for many years, so that's just something we should have had a little better communication prior to abruptly just ending service. That's what we're trying to get to, and, it's behind us now, but, and I know people have moved on. Some of them have moved on. I think they're pretty good with the service that they have, but from now on, if there's, an issue like that, it should have been talked about 6-8 months ago before, it abruptly had to end that quick. And that's where it was. And, these people were stuck without garbage. We're not in the garbage business, so we were just kind of scrambling to try to fix this issue with these people, so that's.
What do you attribute the increase in accidents to? Very familiar with risk analysis and cost-benefit analysis. Why did it change in the last 5 years, or was there no data before the last 5 years?
At this point, there's no reason to conclude that before 5 years it was different. It was just as you know, the data and the analytics that corporations utilize now have undergone a lot more sophistication over the last 5 or so years. And it was that 5-year look back that was analyzed. There's no reason to conclude that if we went back 10 or 15 years, if we still had that data, that we wouldn't see the exact same phenomena just over a longer. But 5 years is not a insignificant sample size. And it was that was looked at, and frankly, it was so glaring that a decision had to be made to do something different here.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
No, I think I just have to emphasize what John said, that this is lack of communication, and I think that's really upsetting. And it's the residents that suffer from it. We could have stepped in, and not having that communication is really upsetting.
And I think the town is in partnership with both the residents as well as the waste haulers here, and we would have, welcomed a dialogue to see what we could do to help both waste management and the residents who are customers of waste management.
Well, I guess it's our hope that, it's not too late to have that, and, but we've been here for a long time, and we'd like to continue to provide service to this town, and, if we can improve the communication channels, then we're all for that.
I do hope that some of the solutions aren't that our residents are going to have to drive their garbage miles or neighborhoods away. Especially, I am concerned about our older adults. This is difficult for them to do, especially since many of them have said that they were told to drag their toters to the end of their roads. It's not acceptable. And I think if we have haulers that are coming in and servicing these areas, and they're able to do it, I don't understand why Waste Management can't do it.
One last thing.
There's no,
One
no
last thing
protests
I
on
will
the-
say,
1 second. I'm sorry. There's no clapping or protesting in town hall during the meeting by code. So I apologize, but thank you.
one thing I will say, I never saw so much interest in garbage pickup than I have the last couple of months, right? It's been very interesting. The other thing is, Waste Management and all the other haulers, I've never really heard a lot. This one just came abruptly, and it just, shut down people completely, and that's what it's all about. I mean, I've heard, sporadic issues here and there, but nothing major, but this one just hit home, and, these people were just left in a bad situation, so.
And we certainly have heard from a lot of residents who adore Waste Management, and we're trying to take that into account as well. But again, I mean, it's amazing how much people love Casella, people love Waste Management, don't do anything with this, but I am concerned about moving forward as well. If these neighborhoods, what's next? So I would want some reassurance that there's better communication and that we can come up to with some solutions together.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney.
Yes, I just have a couple questions about the trucks. So I know a lot of haulers these days are moving to like a single driver with a lift system that lifts the garbage. And I imagine that most, if not all, of your 35-foot trucks, that's what you're going towards, right? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then the 23-foot truck, do those have the lifters, or do those require like a driver and somebody else, or how does that service work?
It's not fully automated. It would have a mechanism on it that would lift the toter mechanically, but
Okay.
not necessarily right from an
Okay.
automated perspective.
Driver's got to get out to do that.
That's correct, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much. We're now here from Casella.
Actually, did you want to hear from, maybe hear from the residents on this? They're two separate applications, actually, two separate.
Thanks for correcting me. For Waste Management, the first person, thanks very much, is Jeff.
Supervisor, before you start that. So in the clerk's office, we did receive several emails that have all been forwarded on to the board members. The first one I have for Waste Management was a resident on Fox Hall Drive in support of Waste Management.
Thank you. The first speaker is Jeff Goldblatt.
Jeff Goldblatt, 128 Parkside, Solid Waste Advisors. So basically, it's a truck issue. There are 6 companies that lease Packer trucks in the United States. Actually, I think there's now a 7th. Now, I know there's a budgetary issue involved with this, but leasing a satellite truck, which is what they're called, and that's the smaller truck you were referring to, would help solve this problem, at least on an interim basis. Communicating with customers, I can't believe we've even gotten to this point. In the code, and we may need some clarification on this, 192.26, it says at least 2 refuse collectors shall be available to service customers in all areas of the town. The Commissioner of Public Works shall have the authority to assign a refuse collector to a particular customer or location if the customer in that area is serviced by only one hauler and the customer is dissatisfied or, and I'm doing this without glasses, dissatisfied with their current service. The Commissioner of Public Works shall assign the refuse collector closest to the service area for the account in question. Was this ever done? Because as soon as you heard that there were problems, somebody should have gotten the phone call immediately. Even if it was a competitor, on a temporary basis, we have an emergency, we're trying to straighten this out. But was a phone call ever made? That's a question that needs to be answered. Beyond that, Waste Management has 1,500 operating divisions around the country. I find it extremely difficult to believe that they could not come up with a small truck to service this area until there's a resolution as far as safety, the streets, and et cetera. That's all I have for now. We'll be back for Casella.
Thanks very much. And I just wanted, before I go on, to clarify, each person has 3 minutes to speak. It's up to the chair to extend. And any additional comments you can provide to the clerk in writing. We do want to hear from everyone, but we want to give everyone a chance to speak. So we don't want to limit what you have to say. You do have the opportunity to provide additional comments in writing. Diane Van Auken.
Give this for record. Hello, I'm Diane Van Auken from 320 Rollinson. I'm here to speak about the waste haulers in the town of Arundequoit. My concern is the lack of information which has been shared with the entire town. Minimally, 50 to 75% would be impacted by a possible decision by the board, Commissioner of Public Works, or Superintendent of Highway. I have called and asked for information from our town as well as from the waste haulers, which would be impacted. No one was able to share any information with me for simple analysis. Thank goodness I'm still on Facebook, and people have been saying things, and it brought me some information. Not necessarily correct, but information. Having town residents aware that their waste haulers may suddenly no longer be servicing them, is that really a responsible thing? It would be appreciated if this hearing could have a question and answer period so that the assumptions and the research could be validated or disputed by the board. I heard that wasn't possible. From what I've gleaned, it may be possible that this board or some member of the town leadership will be canceling contracts, licenses for 2 of the principal waste haulers of our town due to complaints from 200 residents. It was my hope to do some simple math and identify the percentage of homes impacted versus those complaining. The best I could determine is that Arundequoit has more than 22,000 homes. If we're using that number, and I assume about a 75% use of these 2 haulers, it would mean that less than 1% of the homes are impacted. It is further my understanding that these haulers may have canceled service to residents since they no longer have small trucks, and those households canceled were on single-lane roads. The concern of the haulers was safety of their staff, given we live in the Great White North. Who could blame them? This made me think further about these one-lane roads and how they align with Arundequoit's commitment to service them. Again, Google was my source. as well as our code. And I looked up everything in the solid waste 192. I have a copy of it here, highlighted. The town of Arundecoit has several private roads, many of which are one lane. This may be where the complaints began. It was difficult to pinpoint exactly how many there are, but a number of them are not serviced by the town of Arundecoit, as they are only serviced public roads. One example might be Huntington Hills, because they're an HOA. The town's standards for servicing roads such as these are to widen them to 22 feet with curbs and gutters. If the town doesn't want to put their staff at jeopardy, why should the waste haulers? That was my time.
That was your time. However, I don't want to make one correction. You can't ask the chair questions that the board can respond to, just not directly to individuals.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any questions that you want to address for the board to address?
No, other than if Arundecoit is not going to service these by plowing them, the safety issue is a real concern. I get the winter. I don't get the summer, and I get that if somebody is ending service without communicating, which, again, lack of communication is usually the problem.
I just want to point, and please correct me if I'm wrong, the town of Arundecoit is not totally unique in that there were many years ago, there's been a number of roads that are not built to town standards, that are considered private roads. The residents agree to maintain those roads themselves. To bring the roads to code, there's a specific code that they have to follow to get the roads.
And I researched that too.
Right. So, that's what we're dealing with, the historic artifact, and also the movement of a business to a new business model and new machinery. So hopefully we can meet in the middle.
And I hope there can be some communication, because financially this will triple my cost of waste disposal.
Okay. Any other questions?
No question. I just, one thing that I meant to say before, I have heard a lot of people talk about complaints. They missed my garbage this week. This is not about complaints. This is about cancellation of service. I think that those are two different issues. You know, we can say they've come, they've picked up my garbage, done a great job, or no, my toter wasn't put in the right spot. That's not the issue. So, and it's not just, please, it's not. I'm not just reacting to you. I've seen this a lot in the emails that we've gotten. And especially when people are saying, I love waste management. This isn't about people liking or not liking waste management or Casella. This is about violating a contract with the town. So I just wanted to.
Yeah, and I hadn't finished, which obviously a breach of contract would need to be dealt with, but it sounds like a breakdown in communication, possibly on both sides. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much. Tony Frankenberger?
Tony Frankenberger, 30 Imperial Heights West. And I just want to make sure that the board understood there's a lot of talk about cancellation of services. And I want to make sure that you understand there's cancellation of total services and cancellation of services as historically received. And that means that just by bringing in new players will not resolve the issue that we're receiving right now. We were notified by Waste Management on the 20th of April that we weren't going to be afforded the small truck that came up to pick up our totes at the bottom of our driveways. We weren't told anything about any safety issues. We were told two reasons. They only had one or two drivers that were certified to drive the vehicle, and number two, that the vehicle was aging out, and they had no intention of replacing it. So that we had basically two options. Number one, we could take our totes down to the bottom of the hill where it intersected in Imperial Circle, or Waste Management would kindly end our contract and we could go find someone else. So at that time, we reached out to Cyric and Casellas. Cyric sent someone out, took a look around, said no, they didn't have the equipment. Casellas didn't even bother getting back to us. We were told by Waste Management, you got time, we have 200 other people in the town that this is going to affect, so, go ahead and see what you can find out. Okay. I reached out immediately to the town board, Mr. Perticone, Mr. Weiner, and Ms. Cunningham, as well as the department, and said, hey, do you know anything about this? You guys didn't. You followed up on it, so thank you. Fast forward to the end of May, got the call again from Waste Management, again, talking with this woman, I believe out of New Hampshire, and said, okay, now we're going to do it. Fine. We decided as a group, because there's only 4 houses on our street, we're carting our totes down to the street. In the summertime, not a problem. In the wintertime, a little more challenging, because we don't have anywhere to put our totes. They're on the street now, which I'm sure that the town plows just love to go around now that it's starting to snow, right? Since that, with these new players that we're starting to get mailings from, Dependable, Suburban, White Trash, we've called them all, told the same thing. We don't have the equipment to get up your street. So we don't have any other choice. So what I want to make sure that the board is doing, or that we do moving forward, is if we're going to investigate bringing in new players, making sure that they have the equipment, that they can provide us the services that we're used to having them. Again, can we get our totes down there? Yeah, sure, absolutely. Is it convenient? No. And as I explained to Waste Management back in April, I'm 60 years old, I have 2 fake hips and 2 fake knees. What am I supposed to do in the wintertime to get my stuff 300 yards down a hill in the snow? And I was told, well, we understand, but we have residents that are 80-some years old and they're in the same position. There's nothing we can do for you. Okay. So I just want to make sure that we're looking to resolve all the problems moving forward, just not some of them.
Are there any questions for Mr. Frankenberger?
Thank you.
Thank you. Richard Barone?
Richard Barone, 154 Allwood Drive. I've been in this town 60 years. I love this town. A lot of good people in this town. A lot of good people on the board. This is the complaint list I got from the town. It lists several houses on different streets. It totals about 174. That's all. Complaints. Out of 7,500 residents for Waste Management. I've had Waste Management for 30 years. There's no way you were going to cancel their license. Where are you going to get 7,500 of us to get our refuse picked up? There's nobody out there. The cost to have the trucks are millions of dollars. So this is a premature public hearing. Look at the law you got. It's a bad law. What? Why? It says the waste hauler has the right to appeal to the Commissioner of Public Works. What does that mean? Does this put the burden only on the waste hauler? Why doesn't the commissioner have the right to call for an administrative hearing without going through a legal procedure of having them discontinued? Now, there should be some way of having this handled administratively. The Commissioner of the Education of the State of New York has such a procedure. You cannot go to court and sue a school district. You must go to the commissioner through an appeal process. Doesn't require an attorney. So it's an administrative process. And courts usually will argue you're premature coming to court. You haven't exhausted your administrative remedies. There's no administrative remedy here. It only puts the burden on the waste hauler. Why can't we have the town take the initiative and have a procedure, an administrative procedure, to have this kind of discussion without dragging hundreds of people out to a meeting? There's no way you're going to cancel this contract. You're going to start collecting the refuse? and you don't collect the refuse, guess what happens? The county gets involved. Why? The county health department gets involved. You have no authority over health issues, none. None. Over safety, yes, police and so forth. The county would get involved if you don't collect the refuse. Now you got the county on your back. So I'm suggesting a way out for the future. That this kind of discussion should take place administratively, behind the scenes with the commissioner, through some kind of, with the advice of your attorney, on how you can make it quasi-legal, so to speak, but administratively. We shouldn't be here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Barone.
Thank you.
Are there any questions for Mr. Barone? And I just wanted to say thank you, Mr. Barone, for the public at home, the town board did vote last year to update our code and to look at all issues. So that's an ongoing process that would take probably another year or two to complete. Jay Rickard?
I decided not to speak tonight.
Thank you. Richard Decker?
My name is Richard Decker. I live at 39 Glen Hollow in Arundecoit. For 14 years, we've been participating in waste management, removing our garbage. That ended on September 1st this year for two reasons. The first was inconsistent service. The month before was 15 days before pickup of our recyclables, and there have been numerous other times when the waste was not picked up, etc. But I also want to address something more important, which was why we moved away from waste management besides the service issues. My records, I only went back to 2020, and the rate for the tote at that particular time was $72. In September 2025, 5 years later, the rate that was proposed to me was $133, which was an 83% increase. If one wants to just make a 2-year review of it, in March 2023, my tote rate was $80, and going up to $132 was a 66% increase. Between March and September of 2003, my rate went from $80 to $108 and $132. And that doesn't include the energy surcharge, which has never been explained to me as to how they calculate it or when they change it. It reached its peak with $45.48 of energy surcharge, and with no explanation for what that represented along the way. So if I had continued with waste management, our 3-month bill would have been $164. And now I have found a very dependable, no pun intended, service provider that will pick up my garbage on time and will give me something along the range of $70 cheaper for a 3-month period. So if the town board of Arundecoit, one of its responsibilities is to try to provide as good a service as they can for the community members. I think that one should look at the finances of the companies that they use, because there seems to be no prevention or any methodology that prevents waste management from increasing their prices constantly for the consumer, other than to say, basta, I'm going to find somebody else, and that's what I did. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Mr. Decker? Thank you, Mr. Decker. Craig Devlin?
Good evening, Greg Devlin, Oak Ridge Drive, Arundecoit. I had many pages written down here, but several of the people here have negated the comments, so I don't need to repeat anything here. But I do want to make my point, that I think a small percentage of houses having a problem, and that's dismiss their problem, is no reason to go ahead and get rid of a major waste hauler in the town. A waste hauler that has been magnificent in their service from my perspective. We've had them for over 30 years, and they've been wonderful. A couple of times we thought the rate got too high. We called and gave them some examples of other services. We got the rate reduced. They've always been very, very accommodating. When we when we were clearing out the whole attic, called, asked them what we had to do, we did what we did, and they were perfect. They picked up everything the way we wanted. They have always been very, very good. And what I hear tonight is, as was said by I forget her name, but the first speaker, communications, very, very bad. Very, very bad. And I think that, as Mr. Barone pointed out, a small group working together, communicating these issues would help. We have a lot of streets in this town that I can't imagine living on and trying to go ahead and get my mail, get my groceries, et cetera, you know. And, Bayfront Drive, for example, you go past the large apartment complex there, and all a dozen houses all the way on down, they don't get waste services to their door. They've got to bring their waste up to totes that are on the parking lot. Schnackle Drive was mentioned. That's a very difficult street to get down, one lane. I mean, the waste haulers have problems. There've got to be other solutions. But to go ahead and decide to cancel contracts, especially the contract that services most of the town, is not a wise decision. There are other ways to go about it, and working with them would help. And so, which is what I asked for. And one question I have for you folks is, what do you do for your waste haul? And if you have waste management, what are you going to do for your own self? I don't expect you to answer that question, but think about it. That's where you're putting some of people's positions.
Well, I'll go first. I don't have waste management, and I don't live down the street. That's hard to get down. So with that, a lot of people up here are not impacted because we live on different type of streets.
Right.
But thanks for your question. Anyone else? Any questions? Mr. Devlin? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
1 second.
I would just like to say, you know, the town, both Councilman Malone and Councilman Perticone, as well as Commissioner McGee, did meet with the waste haulers to try to work this out. That's why we are here today. I will admit that the cancellation of the contracts is what I would call a nuclear solution, but what we're trying to do is we know of a limited number of 174, 200 issues. We wanted to find out if there's more issues than beyond those. So therefore, we open up a public hearing, and this is our methodology and mechanism to do so. You've already heard the predecessor, you know, that slipped out that we have it on our potential agenda for extension of those contracts while we work out these agreements. So certainly we're not here, at least speaking for myself, to go to the nuclear level. You know, would be if waste haulers came here tonight and told everyone here, we're not going to do anything for you guys. We don't care what you do. We're going to take only the profitable things. We're cutting out even more people as we move forward. So get used to it. Now we might have something that we're going to think about. I mean, obviously that's not what was happening, but we want to hear from as many people as possible as the issues that they're having so that we can come up with a successful conclusion for everyone involved. And again, that's my reasoning for why we're doing it to where we're doing it. And we did try to work this out in advance. And yes, it may not have been an administrative, but we sat down with waste haulers and tried to work it out. It didn't work. We weren't able to work it out.
And it is about holding the companies accountable and to their contracts. And that's where we have to do that on behalf of our residents. And Mr. Devlin, I know your question was rhetorical, but we have had, our family has had Casella for many years and has had fine service. But I can empathize with those who have had their service cut off. So I need to think about that as well.
All right, next speaker is Mr. Beaton, or Beator. C. Beaton. Sorry.
Hi.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Kathy Beaton from
I'm sorry for saying Mr. My apologies. Okay, please.
70 Westbourne Road.
I'm listening to the complaints I found about this situation from a neighbor. I didn't receive anything from the town. I looked on the town website, there's a little blurb about a town hall meeting and garbage cancellation of services. My concern is that there is, as several of you pointed out, a failure to communicate. But it's not just the waste company that's miscommunicating. The town has a responsibility to us to let us know what's happening other than a little blip on a website. This is a critical issue. I don't like someone telling me that our contract can be canceled because the town doesn't agree that the waste management companies aren't adhering to their contracts. I understand the issue of not adhering to your expectation of what should be happening, and I think that's a negotiation, as someone pointed out, that is an administrative issue. Not bringing all of us here, not to mention all the other people on my street that weren't even aware of this situation. So I've had an experience, and I'm hearing the same experience for waste management. You're saying that you spoke to someone saying you didn't speak to me. Same thing. So maybe we should start looking at the communication issues that the town personnel are having in documenting calls, emails, exchanges, because they don't seem to exist. And the bigger issue is, for me anyhow, this cancellation of service that the town is saying we're going to discuss whether or not we're going to extend contracts. That's, to me, I'm going to take my toys and go home, but they're not your toys. This is our service that's being provided. My contract with a company that's doing their best, and I'm hearing environmental concerns, too many trucks, too much noise, have smaller trucks, which is going to make more traffic on the street, which this is a safety concern as well. So this is very disappointing. I'm disappointed at how I found out about this. I'm disappointed that the town isn't doing more to ensure the integrity of communications between businesses and citizens, to have records that say, yes, I did contact you. I'm not doubting or suggesting that they are being fraudulent about this, but I am seeing that this is becoming a pattern. It concerns me, and I hope the town can look a little internally at their processes, as well as considering the fact that, again, they're not your toys. They're our toys, they're our service, and we have a right to choose who we want to serve. If there's a breach of the contract, this should have been discussed long ago with more of an audience than just these people that decided to show up tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any questions? Thanks very much. Next speaker is Steve Pearl.
Good evening. My name is Steve Pearl. I live at 118 Queens Lane. And my heart does go out to the 200 people who are having the problem. I'm not one of them. And I'm looking at this problem as I listen from three different perspectives. Number one is a consumer. Number two is a taxpayer. And number three, I am in the unique position as in my business that I have been doing for 30 years. I am a consultant, medical rehabilitation consultant to cities and towns throughout the state of New York. And some of my customers, some of my municipal customers, have issues with injuries related to waste hauling. In fact, that is probably the single largest injury issue that the municipalities that I deal with have in terms of that job title, the most injuries with that job title. And I'll get back to that in a minute. But what I'm trying to figure out here is a couple of things. First of all, I'm concerned as a consumer, if we take away some of these providers, the less providers there are, the less price competition there will be. And I think that's going to affect me negatively and other residents of the town, and that concerns me, number one. Number two, I'd like to ask the board if there is any consideration of the town taking over this function. I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. I just want to know if that's being considered.
The answer is no.
Okay.
There may be potential in the future, but that'll be for the new board to decide.
Okay. Well, when that happens, I will be back. But as far as so the consumer aspect is the pricing, and when you lose providers, that creates I'm concerned that there would be de facto monopoly. I mean, I use Waste Management. I'm generally pretty satisfied with them. I think they're expensive, and I sympathize with the person who was talking about the raises in prices. But I think there's also a value issue here. And the issue that concerns me is with other haulers that I've considered who are less expensive, what their rules are in terms of what they will pick up. And so that's one of the reasons I've stuck with Waste Management, even though they're more expensive. They don't have these rules, these restrictive rules of what they'll pick up, and that's more convenient for me as a consumer. I'm willing to pay the extra money for that. Okay, now in terms of the cost to town taxpayers, that was my concern if the town was going to take it over. As far as the communications issue, I have to agree with the other speakers. My wife is on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook, and but for her, we wouldn't have known, and we really did not understand when we came here tonight what some of the issues were. I think the town needs to do a better job of communicating with the citizens so that we understand what's going on, and maybe you don't get 50, 60, 100 people showing up at a meeting and they're mystified. I guess that's pretty much what I have to say.
I just have one question for you, sir. And as a taxpayer, would you be willing to pay extra in your taxes if the town did offer waste hauling?
Well, I think that's going to depend on how it's done. The devil is in the details. I own some rental property in Niagara County, and they have in the city of Lockport, where I own the property, the town does pick up the garbage. However, there's been a lot of problems and a lot of hidden costs, which I think is typical, I must say, for the state of New York. For example, I've had to purchase a tote from the city because we were missing a tote that was stolen. That cost me $100. So that's one issue. The other issue is what they will pick up and what they will not pick up, which is something I have to continue to police with my renters, my tenants. So I think the devil's in the details there. And I also would want to know what that's going to do to my tax bill. And I would want that to be transparent, not kind of weaved into other taxes or some kind of, what do they call it, a district, which I'm mystified about it in and of itself. So if the town was going to take it over, I would have a lot of questions about what kind of service would be provided and how I would have to pay for it as a taxpayer.
Thank you very much. I know that was outside of the purview of this. I appreciate your feedback.
Yeah, I think we do need to be careful and not, that's not the reason why we're here. We're not here about the town taking over. We're not talking about a waste disposal district. We need to be careful that we're staying true to the public hearing tonight.
The chair, thanks very much, sir. The chair now calls Mark. Thank you. So, okay.
My name is Mark Suhak. I'm 138 Biltmore, and I do have waste management. For a while now, ever since I had to replace Heberly when they went out of business. So I wasn't real clear on this whole issue. My wife said, you know, the contract's going to be terminated. My opinion is that's cutting off your nose to spite your face. I mean, if there's like 200 people or 170 people, and I do sympathize with the challenge you're having, but also learning that this is really kind of a private road, most of this, that to me kind of comes with the cost of living on a private road and wanting that, maybe that isolation or whatever, right? That should come at a cost. And waste management, though, cost of doing business as well, right? If you're going to support the people, it's cost of doing business. Now, I would wonder if the residents would be willing to pay more to support these, smaller trucks. That'd be the other thing. Would you guys be willing to do that? That was the question I have. So that's pretty much it. There's got to be a meeting in the middle for this. But
Thanks.
Don't cancel the contract. Cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Thank you. Any questions for Mrs. Sulak? Thank you very much, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to on the issue of waste management? If you want to answer any questions or wrap up your presentation.
There was a couple people.
I'm sorry, I didn't see them. Thank you. Please give your name and your address, please.
My name is Jackie Shuffle. I'm at 42 Tone Terrace. We had Waste Management put the whole street in an uproar, and we got Casella. We got a letter saying that our street was not safe. Our street is safe. Our street has been rebuilt because of a sewer, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. When I talked to the town, they said their notice from Waste Management said that they got rid of the equipment that they used. Now the new hauler can back a great big truck down the street. We can get fire trucks down the street. You know, I don't know the difference in size, but I know that the garbage truck that comes and picks us up every week now can get down the street. And I don't think that Waste Management was fair in dumping all these people and saying all these places aren't safe. Some probably aren't. My particular street and the streets around me, the cars are off the road. The bigger trucks can get down the street. It's just a huge problem. And I know there's people that are way smarter than me that are working on it, but now I don't want to have to go through the whole thing again. I was the one designated from our street to call everybody. I think there's one couple on our street that's in their 40s. The rest of us are senior citizens. We can't tote the totes around up to the end of the street, and then what are we going to do? Put them on a neighbor's property? Because you can't put them out on Rock Beach Road. There's a lot of things into, and you know, as far as getting a dumpster on town property, again, we're, as senior citizens, which a lot of us are going to have to load up our own garbage and bring it someplace else. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Ma'am, can you spell your last name, please?
Shuffle, SCHOEPFEL.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Becky Lyons, Lyons. I live on Hoffman Road. I am one of the canceled customers of Waste Management. Let me start by saying I don't realistically think that it's the best move to cancel Waste Management for the majority of Arundequoit residents. That being said, I need to share my experience, and I have for the board my cancellation letter dated in June for my cancellation in July. And leading up to this cancellation, we had many issues with pickup starting earlier this year, where for multiple weeks, our garbage was not picked up. Our neighbors, we are a public road on Hoffman Road, plowed by the town of Arundequoit. Many weeks would go by without pickup, right? As I said, all of the neighbors on our street would reach out to Waste Management for resolution. We would get notifications that our service was going to be delayed by a day, and then another notification delayed by a day, and then they just wouldn't show up. There was a time period in May where it was 3 weeks without pickup. And eventually, when we got the cancellation, we were told we would get a refund in 4 to 6 weeks. 6 weeks later, no refund. I reached out. I was told, you'll get a refund in 4 to 6 weeks. It's very hard to call anybody. I was having this conversation on chat, and when I asked, I said, that's unacceptable. You already told me 4 to 6 weeks. The customer service rep abruptly ended my chat. So this is the kind of experience that we've had with Waste Management, which is why the board is involved. When I did call the town, I did get a call back, recognizing that I was having a challenge. Thank you, that's all I have to say.
I'm sorry, what was the reason for the cancellation, did they say?
The letter cites safety issues, but when we called in the instances where service was delayed, where it had been multiple weeks from pickup, when we or our next door neighbors would call, we were told various things, that the truck was broken, that somebody was sick, that the driver had left and they hadn't been able to replace them. We'd heard all those things before the letter that said it was for safety.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thanks very much.
evening. I'm Steve Wild. I live at 500 Hoffman Road, and I happen to be a neighbor of Becky's. We live on a driveway where there are 5 residents. It's not serviced by the town for plowing, so we hire a private plower. Now, we all got the same letter that people on Rock Beach Road got. Because I got the 2 letters together and they said the exact same thing. Due to safety issues, your service is going to be canceled. Well, okay, what do? So you start looking for another vendor, which we did. We went to Consult. We got, at least I did, I got varying responses from their customer service. I actually signed up with them because they needed somebody to pick up the trash and the recycle. So then I decided, because what Kinsella told the other neighbors, we had to put all our totes down on the Hoffman Road. So that's okay in the summertime, but again, the wintertime, some of our driveways are a little bit hilly. So putting totes down there in the wintertime is a real effort. And the real concern there is when the town plow comes by, if the snow gets really deep, who knows where the containers are going to end up. Now, I must say that all the years I was with Waste Management, the service was very good. I got to know the truck driver. He was able to operate one of these smaller trucks that they talk about, and that's where I think the real issue is, that it's the equipment you're using on small roads. And if a hauler has the right equipment, they can do it. Like I said, for several years they did it. The guy would either drive in straight or back in and take care of picking up everything that was necessary. So I've even gone to dependable now, because I want to be able to have my totes down in an area that they can easily get to. It's not up at my house. I still have to take them down a hill. But I'm okay with that, because that's what I did with Waste Management. It all comes back to the equipment that's being used to do the pickup. So if Waste Management could arrange that rather than just totally cutting it off, I think they'd win back a lot of customers. Of the 200, even though it's a small number of people in the town of Arundecoit, I'm not in favor of canceling the contract with Waste Management. And just one more comment, they could have been better at communication as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, my name's Judy Henderson. I live on 100 Arenda Drive. I am not part of the 200 people. I thought this was a hearing on garbage disposal companies. We just moved up from Pittsford 4 or 5 years ago. Absolutely love Arundecoit. However, we had this waste, oh God, what company are we talking about? Wait, thank you. Waste Management in Pittsford, and they were wonderful. We kept them when we moved up here. Now, it is not every once in a while or every blue moon, it is consistent that our garbage is not picked up, or the garbage is picked up, but the recycle is not. We live on a flat road. A flat road goes to it. You take a right, it's a flat road. And I have called the garbage, Waste Management. I was promised things were going to get picked up, and they never did. We have a full garbage can right now because it wasn't picked up. I got kids, grandchildren, and everything coming this weekend. I don't know what to do with the garbage. I mean, if the Waste Management company will not honor your calls or the money that you're paying for them, unless we change, I don't know what to do. Do we complain to you? We are a peaceful people, and we've tried to wait it out, but it was important to come to this meeting tonight and say, it's just not the 200 people. It's kind of all around that our service is not being handled well.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you very much, ma'am. Does anyone else like to speak to waste management? Waste management, do you want to come up and answer? I'm sorry. Okay.
There's one more individual, I think. There you go.
George White, 5 Soil Hills Drive. I'd like to know what's the limit for yard scrap? We've got pine trees around the house. So I've had 10, 12 bags out there. Every once in a while, we just seem to get refused to have it picked up. Unless it's inside the garbage tote. I put it out. Would you like to see how much I have?
Sir, can you address the chair, please?
Okay, I'll address the chair. So I had all this stuff out here, and just like she said, who do we go to, you or them? Because I've called them, I've been hung up on. No response. Same thing. You miss days, you miss recycles, you miss picking up the scraps and everything. And we're just wondering, do we complain to you, or how do we?
I think this is the start of the conversation, sir.
Yeah, this is the start of a conversation, okay. So I'll come back to you later then.
Thank you.
And keep it going.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, last call for anyone who'd like to speak. Please, waste management, can you address the issues?
I mean, I can answer
Correct.
a
Yes,
specific
correct.
question.
We realize that you can't address everything, but
Yeah,
pertaining to the cancellation, that's what we're looking for, not really the other issues that have been brought up. That's more for you to take back to your company.
Sure. I'll just reiterate, we certainly appreciate, Waste Management appreciates the opportunity to come here tonight to explain sort of the context and the circumstances surrounding this particular situation. We absolutely appreciate the board's perspective and the town's perspective and the customers and the citizens. We're going to listen and digest everything that was said tonight, hopefully work with the town on finding a solution, and I just would reiterate that. We'll sort of get together with everything we heard and then communicate with the town in a constructive and productive way and hopefully come up with a solution. All right? Thank you very much.
Any other?
Yeah, before we close out with waste management, I just, a lot of people are talking, it's only 1% of the town, but you know what? Yes, if you have an issue, you can't resolve it. I thought we jumped on this issue immediately and try to resolve it the best we can for the 200 people that didn't get their garbage picked up. We did help out, we interfered with it, and I'm glad, Waste Management's here today. You wouldn't be here if you didn't feel there was a need. We know the impact if we stop the two main carriers around. We know what the impact would be. We realize that. We get people here. We want to hear what the issues are. But yes, the town got involved in it immediately. As soon as we heard garbage wasn't getting picked up anymore. I thought we met with Waste Management. We met with some of the residents. And here we are tonight, resolving this issue, and hopefully it gets better in the future. But I would just want to iterate that for the 200 people, that the 1%ers, the town did address it. And we helped them out. We came up with a solution for them.
Any other questions or comments?
I just agree with what John was saying. We wanted to hear from the public, as many people as possible, because we don't know what the nature and the extent of the problem is. And I myself live on a flat dead end street, but I could see safety issues. It's tough to turn around at the end. I watched the snowplow. They do like a 150-point turn to get around the cul-de-sac. So this problem, we do have a lot of tight streets. We have a lot of narrow We have slopes, we have woods, we got trees, all those things, and if all of a sudden everything becomes a safety issue, or there's more safety issues out there that we don't know about, we just wanted to hear what's going on. I also wanted to apologize for you, because I did let out a laugh when somebody made a comment and I have the utmost respect for the legal profession. I apologize to you and
Worry about it.
your ilk, and I have like I said, the utmost respect for the legal profession, so.
I appreciate that, Mr. Deputy Supervisor. All right, thanks so much.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to close out the hearing, go to Casella, and then do the resolutions for both companies at the end. May I have a motion to close the hearing?
Move it.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The hearing is now closed. May I have a motion to open the hearing on Casella?
So moved?
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The hearing is now open. Casella, please.
I think I would, do you need to, does the commissioner need to, I think
Okay.
maybe have the commissioner kind of give a little introduction, and then we can invite Casella up to speak.
Thanks, I forgot about the commissioner.
Yes, thank you. For Casella Waste Systems timeline, it was communicated with the town that Casella would be reviewing and picking up the customer's drop-by waste management, and then late July, Casella Systems was providing waste collection service to certain residents previously affected by waste management service discontinuation. Later in July of 2025, the town began receiving calls from residents reporting that Casella was discontinuing waste collection services for these customers. In July, we heard directly from Turtle Rock Lane and Rock Beach Road about these collection issues that were voiced earlier from some of the customers. And also in August, we learned that customers in Huntington Hills were informed that Casella would no longer provide waste collection service, and they had to bring it to a main road.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, no, maybe we can invite Casella up.
Representative from Casella?
Good evening, Mark Fitzsimmons with Casella Waste. I'm our Region Vice President with responsibility over our Western region, which is the state of New York and Vermont. With me tonight also, I have Dave Luptak. Luptak is our Area Vice President. He has responsibilities over our Central New York and Western New York, which includes Rochester. And Rick Davies is our local market area manager that has responsibility here for Rochester and the proper MSA area. I do want to say thank you for the opportunity to attend tonight and be a part of this process, learn a little bit more through the feedback of the residents. I guess I have a question here, so for clarification. We did not cancel, so we're not in the same boat as WM here where we had a mass cancellation and walked out on customers. So ours, we do have some service-related challenges. I'd be more than happy to elaborate on those, and maybe I do agree with some of the safety concerns we talked about and stuff, but just for point of clarification, we did not send letters, we did not cancel, and just give short notice on that. So you want me to move forward, talk a little bit about some of the service issues?
Please move forward.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. So, I will stand here and own our service challenges. So, we heard a little bit about spring, summer. We heard about, some customers being discontinued, and then provide opportunity. They called, our customer service to sign up, which we did a lot of those. You get into this particular area we're talking about with some of the uniquenesses. We talk safety. It's not just safety of our employees. I just want for everybody just to paint a picture here. You heard the size of the trucks. You go down narrow roads, very winding. A lot of times you have to back. In our industry, what we try to do is, especially residential, is what we call right-hand side routing, which means our trucks are moving forward, they're collecting on the right-hand side, and they're able to turn. It keeps our drivers in the truck. It keeps them out of harm's way from other vehicles passing back and forth. If you've done just a little research in our industry, our industry is typically in the top 7 for the most dangerous jobs out there, okay? So as leaders, it's up to us to find ways to make it safer. And what I just described, right-hand routing, is one of those ways to make collection efforts safer. You also have the property damage. It's never a problem until the truck drives through somebody's property, and you tear up landscape and things that's never intentional. But when you're backing, especially in this particular situation, and you're going in blind spots, you get the summer with the kids, a lot more cars out there. A lot of these roads are a little bit more narrow, which means one-way traffic. So if you come to, you meet, who gives, right? So, when we started having some of the communication in our service challenges, our local team here spent a lot of time out in the areas driving in various size trucks, doing an evaluation of what we felt we could go do safely. And if we couldn't do it what we felt safely without our employees getting out of a truck, then we offered alternative solutions, which were collection points to come down, again, to reduce the risk of, to our employees there. I will say through this process, spring through the summer, we did have, service delays. We did have gaps in our communication, and for that, I do apologize, right? We're not perfect, but we try to learn from these situations to where we can provide a better service to the communities, right? To increase our customer base, and we want to be able to do that safely and be good community partners. I would tell you, I heard a lot of people, Facebook, things of that. We can provide impeccable service, but the first time you go off the side of the road and put a rut in the yard, you're getting blown up for being a horrible company. Okay? That's just the world we live in. So, I just want to point out that I do empathize with WM and what they're going through and having to make those tough decisions. Sometimes we're faced with those tough decisions as well. And I heard a lot of times it comes back to the communication piece, which I think we can always get better. And I know we have some communication gaps here with the town. We could have been more proactive coming out after we learned about some of the challenges to voice those. And maybe we could have avoided some of the service issues, which again are probably more communication issues. I know within this particular, there were 6 addresses brought to our attention that said, hey, here's 6 customers that feel you cannot provide service to them. I will say today, 3 of them are still Casella customers. 2 did not really like the option that we were providing, like bring your containers down. And 1 quit us, and I would have quit us too. Several weeks went by just to get toters out there. When we finally got the toters out there, they had found another company to collect and asked us, very respectfully to pick our toters up. So, of those 6 challenges in this particular market, that's kind of where things stand today. So, again, I just want to reiterate that we appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight, to look forward and working with the town and the community to find resolution to some of these challenging areas. There's usually solutions. It's just not, everybody may not like those, right? There's inconveniences along the way, but I think if we're transparent on what we can or can't do, that helps the communication process. So I'll wrap up again by just saying thank you again, and we look forward to several more years, as we grow together in the market and servicing the town and the community. Thank you.
Thanks very much for that. The information that we did receive was that it was for refusal of service, which, can you address that, Mr. Attorney?
Yeah, well, I think you already addressed it. I think there was my recollection is that some of the issues were refusal of service, which is kind of not the same, but it's similar, and I think you covered that in your comments.
Can you, Madam Commissioner, can you address how many people were affected by the Casella refusal of service?
We went off, most of the communication we received on Casella was verbal phone calls to our office, so that was where we got those addresses. People were calling us, and some of the communication we heard was that they were canceling, and it seemed a few of them, I think it was Waste Management, said that they weren't going to do this service. Casella signed them up, and these people were under the understanding that they were going to come up and do up to their house. And then a few weeks later, they were hearing this change in their operation from what they were understand when they signed up.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Anything?
Yep, I think that covers it. I mean, so we had the 6 clear, addresses that we knew about. different because we had a list of 174, people on waste management, so it's a little different in that respect too.
And I would address that for you real quick, if you don't mind. So when the phone calls started coming in, they come into our customer care center located out of Rutland, Vermont. So in good faith, our customers, it's within a service area, so they can go in the system, they can look, it falls within the service area, so they sign up the service. Our drivers get out there, they report back, hey, I have some challenges, concerns, as which our field leadership goes out and then reevaluates what we can or can't do. And I think that's where that communication piece came in. That took it as, hey, we can't. In most cases, we were able to offer an alternative service, although it wasn't the ideal service that the customer was looking for.
Thank you. Any other questions?
No, I think I just fear, I guess, is that this was systemic. All of a sudden, Waste Management has a bunch of cancellations, and then Casella starts to fill the void, and they're canceling those. We just want to get everybody on board to talk through all of the issues.
No,
The predominant haulers within our market, and understand as much from your side as it is from the town's constituent side, so.
No, fair point. And I would tell you a little about Casella. We thrive in secondary markets, rural markets. So we tend to not operate in the same size markets that WM does. Footprint's a lot different. We're regional versus national. So we tend to be able to find a lot of different solutions because, again, that's kind of more of our book of business on how we service communities. But again, sometimes you just run up against some uniquenesses that are just very challenging that it's hard to find a solution.
All right, thank you very much. We'll move to the public comment period. The first speaker,
I do have the two.
sorry, go ahead, please.
So in the clerk's office, we did receive 2 letters regarding Casella. First, we have one on Ridgeport Circle that is in favor of Casella. And then we have one on Carlin Drive, which is an effective resident who currently uses Casella.
Can I make a comment before we move on with Casella? Commissioner McGee and myself, we met with Dave and Rick just the other day. I thought we had a great conversation. They understood some of the challenges, and we did too. So they came to the table, we talked to them, and that's why we're here tonight. So I appreciate you guys coming in and talking to us about some of the challenges and issues that the town has. So, I mean, if things get extremely bad, which we hope they never do, I believe that the town can, be the middle person and help with any issue it is. And they reassured us that that could be the case. So, and the same thing with waste management. We appreciate that as well too. So, that's all I have to say. But they came in just like waste management came in tonight, and let's resolve these issues and move forward.
Thank you. The first speaker we have up is Jeff Goldblatt.
Jeff Goldblatt, once again, 128 Parkside, Solid Waste Advisors. I look at all this a little bit differently than my fellow average citizens. The problems really, from what I saw, began with the acquisition of Sayrick Disposal. That's when things started to go downhill. Late pickups, missed pickups, Assembly and Distribution Services is the company they used to drop, without anybody requesting, 96-gallon carts for recycling. I ran out of my house and I said, guys, I really don't need this. Please take it with you. We can't do that, sir. 3 weeks to get that thing off of my property. And they also made deliveries to non-customers. I had a neighbor run up to me and said, what's this? I'm not even a customer. I said, leave it on your curb, call, they'll pick it up. That's if you can get through during the week. I learned the trick, call Saturday mornings, you can get through. But during the week, they were spiking phone calls. It isn't all bad, though. To be fair, they do produce for their customers an annual guide, and this is probably one of the best I've seen as far as trash and recycling is concerned. They also were noted last year in Time Magazine as being an America's Best mid-sized company. And they are growing. They intend to work their way down the East Coast, but in my opinion, they have to tighten up local operations before they make a bigger move. and I know the clock is ticking, so I'll just say, that's where it really started, above and beyond the handful of homes that were just discussed. They made a mess of the Sarek acquisition. I've seen or been a part of a number of acquisitions over the years, and this one just went right off the rails. As far as service, delivery of equipment, customer response, it's as bad as I've ever seen. And that's my message.
Thank you. Any questions? Don Rivioli? Ben Perkins?
You'll have to excuse me, I'm a little tired. I'm glad to see somebody from Casella here. It's nice to see a face. I just want to start with communication.
Please state your name and
Oh,
address
this
for the
is
record.
Ben Perkins, 210 Drake Drive, here in Arundecoit. I just want to start with communication as a word, and I think the town is responsible as Casella or Waste Management for what I've been through. I've been in Arundecoit, first east Arundecoit and then west Arundecoit, going on 50 years, maybe a little longer. I started with companies, collection companies, and they were really good service, and I had no problems. And then another company bought them up, and they exchanged totes and no problems. And I was even on one of the business pages of DNC holding a garbage can when one of the new guys took over, and I was telling him, I can't believe how good the service is for other places that I've been. And so everything has gone along. So the last gentleman, he kind of hit it on the head. Ever since this last merger, which I was never notified about, never got a letter from this company, never got a letter from the company that I was leaving, never heard anything from the town that somebody else was going to be picking up my trash. So it started out 3 weeks I went without any trash collection. And when I started calling during that 3 weeks, I was told that Casella was now my provider. And I said, well, I never got notice, so I called them, and they were really nice. Their people on the phone is really, really nice. They're going to take care of all my problems. I felt very comfortable. They said they were going to drop off some new totes. He mentioned the new 96-gallon tanks. Boy, within a couple of days, one of those was dropped off by this service that they use. And the first week, I had trash and recycling picked up. I was happy. Then the 3 weeks started. Nobody was picking up anything. Every day I called this company. Every day I heard our driver was sick. Our truck broke down. We don't have enough equipment. We don't have enough guys trained. We're going to pick that up tomorrow morning. I'm sorry we couldn't get it this morning, but we'll get it this afternoon, leave it out. For 4 weeks, I left it out in the front of my property. I'm very easy to get along with. My driveway, for an example, is 300 foot long. I'm not a young guy anymore. But I felt responsible to deliver my cans out to the street like everybody else. I was never asked to do that. So I drag them out there for these guys so that they don't have to. My driveway is as wide as any street that you've got, even the main road out here in Arundecoit. It's a double paved lane road straight back. But I still take the totes out and I put them out. For the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks going on, have not had my recycling picked up. I did get the trash picked up. Then I find out, I call in because it's not being picked up when it's supposed to be picked up, and the girl says, well, we changed your day. I said, I don't understand. Well, you were putting it out Monday nights to be picked up on Tuesday, but we're going to change it. It's been changed. You put it out on Wednesday night to pick up Thursday. So I put it out on Wednesday night to pick up Thursday. It wasn't picked up, and when I called in, she said, oh, that's not the night you're supposed to have it. You're supposed to have it on Tuesday. And I said, what's going on? And she said, well, we had to change things. I don't know who told you to put it out on Thursdays. I can't get anything confirmed. I can't get picked up. I'd like to talk to you guys before you go. I have nothing against Casella. I've always been very happy. I love Waste Management, but I can't afford them. I have to be honest with you. As a senior citizen, I'm kind of on a fixed income, and they used to, when they first started, offer better rates and something for seniors. In fact, I could even get
Thank you
every other.
thank you very much for your time, sir.
I could get every other week. But anyway, to communication, I don't mean to take the time. I think this would solve a lot of problems if this panel took responsibility of voting to give somebody a license, would take the responsibility that we, if we have a problem, we have somebody to come to. The only reason I'm here tonight, I really didn't want to come here, and I wasn't going to get up and speak till I was really hearing the other people speak. But I did call the town of Arundecoit. And I said, I'm sorry to call you guys, but I don't know what to do with my carrier for trash Casella. And they said, oh, Casella. I'm not going to tell you who I talked to, but I called into the clerk's office, and they sent me to another office. And they said, oh, yeah, that's a real problem. I said, well,
So,
can you
20
solve my
seconds,
problem?
sir.
And you know what I was told? We're having a hearing on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. This was a week and a half ago. And if you go there, maybe you can get it resolved. I had no idea until I got here that this was about licensing or anything. I'm just looking for communication. Maybe the town, when they gave a license to them to replace the other company, should have notified us with a notice, or in the contract said that they have to notify the clients that they've been changed.
Thanks very much for your comment, sir.
Yeah, we need somebody to represent us
All right, thank you, sir.
on our side.
Thank you.
Okay.
40 Warwick. Sefri's fiance. Drew. I have a Drew Herzik. Carol Snook.
Carol Snook, 463 Hellendale Road at the corner of Smiles Drive. I have no complaints about Casella at all. They've done a great job for me, but I did see an article, a small article in the DNC about this meeting. I believe I also saw it on local TV. And I thought two groups were being canceled from the town. That's why I'm here. So I looked up in my checkbook and I found on August 11th, 2025, I paid $520.34 for my pickup. And that's for the whole year. And now we're at December, and I thought if they were being canceled, how do I get my money back? And then I heard somebody say, well, you call Waste Management. And the one woman said she called Waste Management, and she was told 4 to 6 weeks, but I don't think I have a problem now if they're not canceling. So I think my question's been answered.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Any questions? Tom? 2977 St. Paul? Is there anyone else here to speak to the issue of Casella? You can just step right up and just prepare to.
My name is Justin Allen at 298 Summershire Drive. I purchased my home in November of 2022, at which point I signed up with SAREC Disposal. Can't say enough about how my service was with them, to the point of the representative from Casella. Waste pickup is a thankless job. When they're doing it right, nobody notices. When something goes wrong, nothing ever went wrong with SAREC in the time that I was with them. And when I found out that Casella was purchasing a few months prior to the acquisition being final, I didn't have any issues that continued to be picked up from SAREC. When the acquisition was final, and I mean the day that it went final, from that time to when my contract ended with Casella, I did not have a single week where a pickup was done correctly, and that was 2 months. And I called every week. Granted, it was resolved, but was never once picked up, both the trash and recycling, in the same week correctly in that time frame. I consider myself lucky. I've learned about others in Arundecoit that did not have the option to change to another provider. I changed to Dependable Disposal, and I am very happy with that service thus far. So Sayrec Disposal being a smaller, more local company, and then Dependable Disposable also being a smaller, more local company. I find that to be, we're getting kind of, some of the comments that have been made tonight, we're getting into this kind of too big to fail argument, and I don't think that that's fair. Nobody is too big to be held accountable, and you are larger, these groups are larger, supposed to be more reputable waste haulers, and they're not acting in that way. So I think that every resident of Arundecoit deserves to have consistent service. To that point, I think also one of the incidents that happened with Casella was I had a large item out there that I called ahead, and they scheduled a pickup. They told me 10 business days. It was not picked up in 10 business days. It was closer to 2 weeks, 10 business days would be 2 weeks. It would be 14 business days. It was closer to that, in which time I received a warning from code enforcement telling me that it had been out there for too long because it does need to be picked up within 1 week. So I thought it was interesting that Casella has policies that aren't in line with our code and how that's enforced. So I would think that anybody that wants to operate in the town of Arundecoit should understand that code, and their policies should match that. And again, have not had any trouble with Dependable and did not have any trouble with Sayrec in that regard. And then finally, I know this hearing is not about a municipal refuse contract, but I believe that there's value in the town advocating on our behalf and having a more direct approach to holding these companies accountable. So that's my opinion on that.
Thank you. Any questions? We have one more speaker.
Hi, thank you for letting me address the group. My name is Pat Smith. I'm from 217 Willow End Drive. I was a Sayrec customer for years and years. Never had a problem with them. They were great. They used to have an automated system that let you know what day your pickup would be if it was delayed by a holiday or something. Your customer service doesn't have that yet. I called 3 times last week to speak, I guess it must be your board in Vermont that you were talking about. I've had no written communication from your company at all, and I didn't even know there was a change, except one day I came home and there was these giant Dependable dumpsters in my driveway.
Ma'am, can you direct the comments to the chair, please?
Okay. My complaint is with the communication with the company. They've missed me a couple of times on my street, but we have a problem on my street. It's a circle with a dead end. And getting around the bend, if there's cars parked there for the ARC house, a fire engine can't get down there, a dump truck can't get down there, nothing. So that's probably not their fault that I was missed. My problem is communication with their company. I called their board 3 times last week, never had less than 7 minutes to wait. I got 4 different quotes. I got through one time right away, but I got 4 different billing quotes from them about what the price would be. And I'm just saying, I found only one person out of the 4 I talked to be nice and reasonable and customer friendly. Thank you, that's all I wanted to say.
Thanks very much.
But their service has been good so far. I think the reason they missed me was because of what was happening on my street.
Any questions? Does anyone else, thank you very much, ma'am. Does anyone else want to address the board? Seeing none, we'll close the public input period. Will you please want to address anything? Okay. This closes the public hearing for Casella. All in favor, say aye.
I need
Aye.
a motion.
Sorry. May I have a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The hearing is now closed. Madam Clerk?
Item number 11, resolution authorizing the temporary extension of license under the solid waste management law of the town of Arundecoit for waste management of NY LLC.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Attorney?
Right, so knowing that there's a couple things going on here. The license that both haulers are currently operating under expire at the end of this year. Also knowing that we're not going to have a decision tonight, we've heard a lot of feedback, we've been in communication with both haulers. We thought that it would be prudent, I thought it would be prudent to suggest to the board to extend their license, at least for this resolution, through the end of February. That gives the parties time to continue dialogue and try to find some solutions to the situation we find ourselves in. So both of these resolutions will extend each license to February 28th, 2026.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Any questions or comments?
I mean, I think we've heard some, positive feedback from the haulers and contractors here locally. I mean, I'm sure you see the fact that these issues have brought about the fact that we've got more haulers or more competition within our market. I would very much like you guys to resolve your issues with our customers so that we, don't have to get even further involved in more people driving around. I'm sure you'd rather see that also, but ultimately we're here to serve the constituents of Arundecoit. I'd really like to make sure that we have solid, people to handle the waste within our market, and people have ability to register complaints, we get responses back, and we have successful conclusions to the matters that are before the public here. So we're given an opportunity to work these out. So I'm anticipating that you guys are going to come back to us with some solutions. Probably John will be handling this as the new supervisor, but we're hopeful that we can see some positive steps in the next couple of months.
Since there are no other questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk?
Item number 12, authorizing the temporary extension of license under the solid waste management law of the town of Arundecoit for Casella Waste.
May I have a motion?
Move it.
May I have a second?
Second.
We already heard the explanation, so we'll move right to the vote.
I just want one comment I'll say is, we extended this a couple of months, but the representatives here says a lot. So I see we'll come to some kind of, excuse me, some kind of resolutions, or we'll get these issues resolved, and then we can move forward with the contracts.
We'll move directly to the vote. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? The resolution is adopted. And
So there was one other item that we talked about before in attorney-client session at the last meeting, and that was about scheduling a public hearing for a proposed local law to have a moratorium on small cell and local cell. We do have a draft resolution on that, setting the public hearing for the January meeting, January 20th, I believe. So if that is something that the board wants to take action on, then that would set that public hearing as well for January.
Okay, may I have a motion to set a public hearing for January 20th on the smallest cell, per the attorney's direction?
I'll make sure that you have a copy.
Okay?
So,
Do that
I
hot for
circulated,
now.
but
I'll move that.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The resolution is adopted. This concludes our regular town board meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Move it.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 The meeting is adjourned.